SEX, learn about sex. SEX, learn about sex. Might learn a thing or two, learn about sex. What's up, all you freaks and geeks of the world? It's your fairy sex mother, and I'm back with another video. Well, I've been gone for a long time. Y'all see what's going on in the world. So I was out here protesting Black Lives Matter, point blank period. I was getting really deep into school. I am in my whatever semester of grad school, and yeah, it's a lot of work, and I moved a lot. A lot has just happened. Don't really care about going into the logistics of all of it because who really cares? I'm here with another video, and in today's video is more so about myself. It's about me and why I chose, or why I'm choosing to become a sex therapist, why I choose to work in marriage and family therapy, and all that other kind of stuff, because yeah, I never really talked about it. I just came to YouTube and just started posting sex tips and sex advice and relationship advice, but I never like explained myself or who I am really. So this is just like a get to know me. It's also the first day of September, which also leads into my birthday. My birthday is in 5 days, and yeah, so September, I'm doing a hashtag on Twitter also called Sextember, and basically every day I'm just going to post on my Twitter, on my Instagram, and or my Snapchat story, sex advice, something sexual that people don't know, relationship advice, or just comments, just like my own thoughts and research on things that I've learned over the years or I've looked up and all that other kind of stuff. So, you know, just be on the lookout for that. Make sure you follow me on all of my social medias. They'll be listed down below. And, you know, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, let's get into this video. Let's get to know the fairy sex mother. Okay, so I've known for a long time that I knew actually for a long time that sex therapy, sex education, love, relationships was something that was like a major part of me, or something that I really wanted to like I really wanted to connect with and understand more about it. I remember when I had Barbie dolls, my parents wouldn't let me have male Barbie dolls, whatever the case may be, because for whatever reason they just didn't want me to have one. So I used to cut the hair off my female dolls and make them guys, and just always make them have a relationship with each other or one another, have like Barbie doll drama, whatever the case may be. Forget that. Let's fast forward. When I was 10 years old, my parents got divorced because of a lot of issues between them, and honestly they were just not the perfect couple to be together. And even though a blessing came from them, which was me, but still they just weren't meant to be a couple for a very long time. It wasn't meant for them to be together. And when they got divorced, that was also the same time where I started to have my period. I went through puberty. I was going through the hormones of being a female, and I was trying to understand my body and understand who I was. And at the time, it was difficult for anyone to really explain to me what my body does, who I am, and all that other kind of stuff, because you have my parents who are going through a divorce and they're having their own drama and issues. So I come to them and I'm asking them about, you know, sex, guys, periods, stuff like that. They're coming to me on a very Christian based, very hard religious foundation. And this is a disclaimer, I do consider myself a Christian. I do classify myself as a follower of Jesus Christ, and that is something that's always been a part of me, and that's never going to change. Even though I have taken this step in my profession and I want to go forward with educating people about sex, that doesn't change the fact that God still loves me. He does not judge. He doesn't care what you do or what you are doing, as long as you are not disobeying him, and also you are repenting for what you've done. So if any of you try to come at me with like biblical terms or religious stuff, just know I'm prepared to come back at you. Anyways, but yeah, my parents came at me on this whole like, well, you shouldn't talk to boys and you shouldn't get to know boys. Boys have cooties. You can get an STD. Now you're on your period. A period means that you're able to have sex, and if you have sex, you get pregnant. Like, it was just a whole bunch of, it was a lot of truths and lies at the same time. It wasn't like the answer that I think I should have gotten at that time. And I just also feel like it was a result because of what my parents were going through. And it just so happens that what they were going through was around the same time that my curiosity peaked. And so then I just started doing research on my own. I do remember one time where I did ask my mom, could she tell me like what STDs are, or like what is it and stuff like that. And she basically like showed me images. Like everyone, I don't know if everyone's parents did that or if parents do that, whatever the case may be. She tried to do like scare tactic where she shows me like what genital herpes look like, what gonorrhea looks like, what chlamydia looks like, how AIDS affects your blood cells and all that other kind of stuff. And I'm gonna be very, very quite honest with y'all. I like popping pimples. I have a fetish of messing with blemishes. Like that's the reason why this is spot here on my nose, is because I have to like pop it. I have a problem where it's like if I see a pimple on my friend or on my partner, whatever the case may be, I'm going to like, it gotta go because it's just bothering me, whatever the case may be. So the fact that I saw chlamydia, what it looks like, how yeast infections, how genital warts and stuff like that looked, it didn't gross me out. So it wasn't like a good scare tactic, because it was like, people look worse than that. Like it's something way worse than that. Like if that's what you're trying to scare me from getting, I understand the severity of it, and I understand like, you know, STDs are not a good thing. They are painful, they're itchy. I've had an STD before, I've had a yeast infection before. I am a woman, I am a sexually active woman, and so I understand that STDs are bad. But if your scare tactic is to show me what it looks like, it wasn't very successful. Mom, it was not successful at all. So from there, it was like, okay, well, if this is the tactic that she's going with, and me and my dad's relationship, it was like kind of rocky. Like I would talk to my dad, but I still had resentment because of the issues that was going on in my parents' marriage and like how it was making me feel and stuff. So I just decided to do research on my own. And like around the time where I was staying at home by myself a lot, because my mom has a job where she works all seasons. She only has like weekends off. She's an accountant. Excuse me. So it was like where we were living at the time, I was in downtown Atlanta living there, and my mom's job was like across the street from my apartment. So it's just like, she was just like, I could leave Selena at home because everything that she would need, or if she needs me like really, 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 really bad, she could walk across the street. While I was at home a lot, I just decided to do my own research. I decided to look up like everything that dealt with sex that I could think of at the time. Like I looked at can kissing cause cooties? I didn't even know how to spell cooties. I probably said can kissing cause coochies, whatever. I looked up, can you get an STD from sex? And then from there, it just was like, boom, the world started to open up and to make a lot more sense. But I can say that I looked at too much research too young, too fast, because I ended up putting myself in situations where I was just acting off of my knowledge and not off my common sense. And so like around my teenage years, whatever, I got into a relationship, and I thought, you know, my relationship was something serious. I was under the impression on my end that this was somebody that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. He was not my first boyfriend, but he was like the first person that I was actually like engaged with, like very sexually involved with and all that other kind of stuff. And it just became to a point where my relationship became abusive. It was mentally abusive, verbally abusive, sexually abusive. I thought that he loved me for me and not just my body, but he only cared about my body and what I had to offer. And if I wasn't giving him the satisfaction of what he wanted, then a whole bunch of bullshit, a whole bunch of issues. And at the time, I thought that was love, because it was like, well, shoot, at least he's willing to stay. At least he's willing to give me a try. At least he's willing to talk to me. You know, at least I have somebody I could talk to every night. All the other kind of bullshit that people look for in a relationship. That's not the importance of a relationship. So I fell into like that stupid ass trap, and I just felt like I was stuck there. I really started to think low of myself. I started to lose my self-esteem. And then when it was time for me to go to college or whatever, I told him that I did want to go to an out-of-state college because I just didn't feel the need to stay in Atlanta. I've lived there a very large amount of my life. So I'm pretty sure there's more to the world. Even though Atlanta's a great city, there's more to the world than just Atlanta, you know? I wanted to go to a different city because I wanted a new setting. That's just point blank, period. And when I said that I was going to come to Montgomery for my undergrad at Alabama State University, it was a very much so like, oh, you're not going to do successful there. You're not going to become somebody. You're terrible. Like a whole bunch of things to downplay me as a character. And usually, typically, I would fall for, that kind of abuse and be like, well, yeah, you're right. Maybe these people wouldn't appreciate me there. Maybe I wouldn't meet new people. Maybe I wouldn't I just had like a lot of doubt. I would have a lot of doubts in myself. But at the time of that relationship, and that is like a whole nother story in itself. At the time of that, it was like, well, I could listen to this person who I've been manipulated by for so many years, or I can just go with my gut and follow my own path and follow my own dream and get away. Boom, I got the fuck out, because I felt like if I wasn't going to leave, I would still be in that situation till this day, or I would be trapped somehow, some way, or if it wouldn't have been him, it would have been somebody else. And I needed to go. And there was that on the personal side of me, but then on the family side of me, like I said, me talking to my family about sex and stuff like that, it was just like, it's the whole religion thing. Like, my family are the typical churchgoers. They go every Sunday on time. They're not late. My grandfather was the pastor of my church, and now it's my uncle who is now the pastor. My grandfather's nephew and his three of his sons are reverends, elders, pastors at churches. Whether it's at our church or at my home church or it's at another church, they all minister. They all deliver the word of God. At the time my dad was in the church, he was like on the deacon board. He was an usher. My mom played the piano in the church. My aunts, they all played the piano in the church. They sing in the church. They are over either a department in the church. They're on the Sisters Willing Workers. Like, I was a part of the youth choir, sunshine band, adult choir. I help with Vacation Bible School. Like, religion is a really, 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 really huge part of my life. It wasn't like more so of an option for me. It was an obligation. But now that I'm older, I choose for it to be my obligation and my forefront, because I have my own personal understanding and I have my own relationship with God, rather than my family trying to make me have one with him. And so, because I had all that stuff going on, I personally felt like in undergrad, it wasn't smart for me to go into a field of sex therapy or focus on anything dealing with sex, because I felt like, for one, it would have disappointed my family. And not saying like my family don't think low of me or anything like that, but it's just a simple fact of, when you're raised in a strong Christian-based family or a strong religious type family in general, image is a huge part of them. It's like the image of like just always being looked as the public eye. Like I said, these people who are in my family, they had like positions in the church. So it was like, if they have these positions in the church and then boom, I go out and I do this, of course the assumption is going to be, oh, if you're doing something with sex. And the way people's minds are set up is so fucking weird. Like, old people or older generations, they feel like if you're doing something with sex, it ends or starts with pornography, prostitution, escort, stripping, dancing, whatever the case may be. It's nothing wrong with those kind of sex workers, but those are not the only type of sex workers. There are several people who are several types of sex workers in the world that help with all kind of things. Whether if you are a porn star and you're giving someone adult entertainment industry and you are giving body, you're giving sex appeal, you're giving confidence, because not everybody can come on the TV screen and be butt booty naked and get their back blown in. Confidence. Everybody can't be a dancer. You can't sit up there and make a piece of lingerie or a thong or whatever, or a piece of clothing, whether you have on clothing or not, look so awesome to the point where it's like, as you're dancing, I'm forgetting that I'm at a strip club. Like, everybody can't do that. Everybody can't sit down and talk to people who have been sexually abused and tell them and give them advice or just talk to them about anything, people don't feel comfortable about that, because they'll just start to be like, oh, well, how, why, and who, what, when. You ask so many of those questions that you're losing focus on what the actual issue is. I am not healed because I went through this trauma. And like, that's what I want to do. I wanted to work with people who have dealt with sexual trauma, or educate people who don't have a very broad understanding on what sex is, because a lot of people really don't know what sex is. People think that sex itself is just people think that sex itself is about penetration, oral, or if I have sex with somebody, then I have spiritual ties with them. It's not just that. Sex is who you are as a person. How do you classify yourself? Sex is understanding your pH balance, understanding your periods and your menstrual cycles, understanding your balls if they're tender, understanding your testosterone level, estrogen levels. Sex is knowing the difference between HIV, Sex is knowing the difference between herpes 1 and herpes 2. Woo. To get my point across, sex is so much that, because it took me years of understanding and researching and learning, talking to people, talking to my doctor about sex so much, that I was just like, well, this is what I really want to do, but I don't want to embarrass my family. I don't want to make them feel like I'm steering away from my foundation, which is religion or whatever. And so I went with the second best thing for me, because I felt like it was a safe place, and that was music. I have been playing the violin for it's almost 15 years that I've played the violin, and I was good at it. At the time when I went to college, I was playing the violin for maybe like 9. When I went to college, I was playing the violin for like 9 to 10 years already. Then I could sing. Like I said, I was in the choir. If I wasn't shy, I can sing if I'm not shy, or if I'm with a group. But if it's like, when it comes to singing, you could do one wrong note, or you could mess up on a word, or it was just like, it's always something with singing. Like, it has to be damn near perfect when you go up there and sing in front of people. And that's nerve-wracking, because it's like, if I mess up and everybody hears it, they're gonna be like, you stink. You feel me? Like, it's going to be like, point out this problem, this problem, this problem. So it was just like, did I want to deal with that, or do I want to deal with my family? Honestly, nobody wants to deal with their family, like resenting them or feeling some type of way about what they do in life, because it's like, your family is supposed to be your number one support system. So at the time, it was just like, I don't want to disappoint my family, so I'm going to just go with the route that I feel like is best for me, or best for me and my family, actually. It wasn't even just for me. Honestly, it wasn't even for me at all. It was just the route that was best for my family. And I went through with it. I learned a lot of things being a music major, and I don't regret learning that stuff. It was very interesting. I learned a lot of new songs. There are songs to this day that is in my Apple playlist or on my phone, and it's like, when the song comes up, it's like, don't skip that. Let it play. Do you know this is Earl King? Do you know what happens in this song? Schubert was in his bag when he made Earl King, okay? Like, I still feel the way about classical music, medieval music, Gregorian chants, romanticism, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I appreciate everything that I've learned, but it came to a point where in my life I felt myself like, what am I going to do with this degree? When I graduate, am I going to like be a music teacher? Like, I wasn't even in music education. I was just in music performance. I don't want to be a performer. I don't want to go on stage and perform in front of a bunch of people. I don't want to have master classes. I don't want to sit down, and there's a lot of stuff that I didn't want to do. It's a list of stuff. And I was just like, damn, I'm really about to get a degree and not use it. When it came to grad school, I paid for my own tuition. I can't use Parent Plus loans or all this other kind of stuff in a graduate program. So it was like, well, shit, if I'm paying for school, I'm going to pay for my motherfucking degree. And I'm going to pick my motherfucking major. And at that point, it was like, well, shit, let me take this route and see like where it leads me and where I go, and like how am I doing sincerely. And when I started looking into graduate programs and I saw that, you know, sex therapy was a thing. Like, it's not something that, not say that I made it up or anything like that, but it was just like, you know, you can't go to school for sex therapy, but you can get certificates, you can get like different degrees and stuff like that inside of it. So I was like, okay, well, what is the foundation of it? And then boom, I found marriage and family therapy. I talked with like multiple counselors and told them my dreams and aspirations, and they either had similar ones or they accomplished some of the things that I wanted to do. And when they told me about the programs and stuff, I never felt more excited and more ecstatic to learn about sex on a collegiate level than anything else in the world. Like, it was, whew, like that day when I had that conversation, I was on the phone with my advisor for like maybe 2 hours, and she was explaining to me about like the program and sex therapy itself. When I talked to my mentor and I first met him and had a conversation with him, he really made me feel like, you know, there's nothing wrong with my decisions and who I am and how I feel. And there's also nothing wrong with educating the world on what sex is, because sex is so much stuff at one time, and people only focus on this, like sex, people only focus on this much of sex, but sex is like all of this. Like, sex can fill up a room for a conversation. And I just felt excited. I was there. I was like, yes, this is what I wanted to do. And at the time when I started to take the leap towards going to school for marriage and family therapy, and the stuff that I've done towards becoming certified to be a sex therapist and all that other kind of stuff, I did get resentment a little bit from my family, or they felt like, you know, what is this path that you're taking? We're trying to understand. We raised you to be like this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But then it just came down to like, I really had to grow the fuck up. And I had to have that grown woman conversation where it's like, you know, you may have this assumption of what I'm going to do, but this is what I really want to do. My necklace just didn't fail. Whatever. This is what I really want to do. This is how I really want to be. This is what I want to do in my field, and this is what I want to do for the world and for people and stuff like that. And over time, they started to accept it, or they started to understand it, or I don't know if they accept it or not, honestly. But it came to a point where it was like, I kind of stopped thinking about what others feel about what I want to do when I make my money, because I want to make my money. I'm gonna make it clean, but I want to make money in something I'm happy with doing. Everyone who's in their career, they're in their career because that job, that field makes them happy. The only reason why they put so much energy into their job and they stick for the good, the bad, and the ugly is because they sincerely love their job. I sincerely love educating people about sex, and I sincerely love helping people, you know, move past or away from the trauma that's happened to them in their younger years to help better benefit them in the future. And so it was just like, do I want to sit here and continue to please others, or do I want to please myself? And thankfully, I chose to please myself. And ever since I've like really dived into sex therapy and dived into marriage and family therapy and working or going to grad school and doing all other things I'm doing on the side, I've never been more happier. There's times where I am down, I am sad, or like it comes overwhelming. But then it's like, you know, when I finish a project for school and my teacher gives me an A and she gives me a compliment, is like, you know, you did a wonderful job talking about this or presenting this paper. Or when somebody comes to me and was like, hey, that advice you gave me about it really helped and I really appreciate it. Now me and this person are better than ever, or I'm better with myself. Like, it's a relief and a really big accomplishment for me just to hear people tell me that, you know, what I'm doing and what I'm striving to do in life with working in the field of sex is beautiful. And so I never felt more proud of myself. And so now that I'm happy with myself and I'm content with what I'm doing and I'm putting actual energy towards what I want to do, my life has just been, you know, a bitch been happy. Like, even though 2020 is a fucked up year and it's just bad, a lot of bad shit going on, my life has just been taking a flip and a turn, and I'm really grateful and I'm happy and I'm blessed to have these things happen to me. And so that's honestly just a little story about background about myself, about sex therapy and why I chose it, and what, yeah, that was just a background story. to go on for the month of September, though. There's a lot of stuff that's coming this month. Can't tell you guys just yet, but you know, it's a lot of stuff coming this month. I'm really, really excited. I'm not going to sit here and lie about posting. So you better follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat. If that's where you want to have like the most conversations and stuff like that with me. I do plan on like coming back to posting and being consistent with my YouTube channel, because this was a part of my release, and this did help me with my words, helping me figure out my words and helping me understand other stuff that I want to do. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on this month, and I'm really, 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 really excited. But you know, that concludes this video. Again, follow me. They're all gonna be down there on my social medias, because if you sit there and be like, Selena, where have you been? You will know where I have been, because it's on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, whatever. But peace.